Hi, this is Becky Nunn with Nunn Design, and I'm a guest designer at Beadaholique. I'd like to show you in this video how you can make a texturized crystal clay stamping using a ribbon end. What you'll need for this video are some of the Nunn Design ribbon ends, a little piece of rhinestone chain, some crystal clay. I already pinched off 2 equal-sized balls and mixed it fully. You'll need some mica powders, some texturizing pads, a Q-tip, and a couple of tools. For the first step, what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the ribbon ends and we're going to create a little bit more of a channel for the clay to fit into. And I'm going to do that by taking a pair of needle nose pliers and just placing it inside of that ribbon end and creating a wider entryway. I'm just doing that by inserting my plier in and slightly rotating it so that there's a wider gap there. This will make it easier for us to insert that crystal clay. Once we have that opened up, pinch off a ball size. Let's see, I'm just kind of doing this off a feel of like how much clay do I want to be on that design, maybe a little bit more. So this was already pre-mixed, and now I'm just making a nice round ball using the palms of my hands, and I'm not having any creases in the crystal clay. So now I have a nice smooth ball. Now I'm going to pat it down slightly, and this is where I'm creating this unique shape. I love the more organic look to these pieces. So if you have a irregular look, I just think that's bonus. So I'm just using the my fingertips to slightly pat this down and create a shape that I like. Then once I have a shape that looks like it'll work nicely, I'm going to flatten down a little bit more just one of the ends. This is the end that's going to insert into the ribbon end. Let's see how flat that is. I'm going to make it a little bit flatter so you can see I was wanting to slide it down into that opening. There we go. And this might feel really awkward when you first do it. Just if it doesn't work, just go ahead and pull it out and pat it down again until you get it just the right way that you like it. If you got any clay on the sides, you can use your wet wipe to clean that up. Alright, so that's gives you an idea, and then I'm using my fingers to kind of just sculpt that to create that shape that I like. I'm going to lay this down for a second and use a wet wipe to wipe the clay off of my fingers. And then pick it back up and wipe it off of the metal. If I got any on the sides of the metal right here. You have 90 to 120 minutes to work with the clay before it really starts to set up and hardens. So you want to make sure that you got the clay off of any piece before it starts to really get hard. All right, now that you have your clay that's set inside of there, I'm just going to leave this one side open while we do these next couple steps, and I'll close it once it's hard. Then I have a texturizing pad that I'm using, and depending on where you like the design and where it looks like it might be a good design to go, like right there, or possibly even, let's see, maybe something like, let's try this right here. So that's where my design is going to go, about right there. So I'm thinking about how that design, how this part right here is going to work, because I'm going to need to take this over to the side of my table to make that impression, so that this part is off of the table, and then I can press down. So once I have an idea of the area of the pad that I want to use, I'm going to use some mica powder, and I'm going to smear it onto the texturizing pad. This has a dual purpose. One, it's going to create this look like we're seeing here, where it has the color already in to the clay, and two, it'll help so it doesn't stick to the texturizing pad when I make the impression. So now that I have my texturizing pad and I have my clay, and I have kind of the shape that I like, I'm going to take that to the side edge of my table, and then I'm going to press my clay right into the texturizing pad and squish down. So that's why I had to have that on the side edge. I'm also using my fingers to kind of sculpt that shape, that interesting shape, one last time. Then pick up your pad. Let's see how we did. I'm slowly releasing it. Now we have our design into the texturizing pad. Just so that it won't stick onto the table, I'm going to move it onto a little sheet like that. And then to create this piece right up here with the rhinestone, you take a little bit of your rhinestone chain and you can lay it out on this piece, and depending on how, do you want it to be really far spaced out like this, or do you want it to have retracted and have it close together? You know, it just depends on what your aesthetics are. Let's try pulling it out like that. So I know that my end is going to be right about there. So with a pair of flesh cutters, I'm going to just cut away this little excess, right where that retracting area was. Now I'm ready to place it into my clay. Put that in, so you can use a toothpick to spread that out and slowly, I'm wanting it to be kind of centered in my piece, so I'm just spreading it out and then slowly pressing down on the centers of each of those, and then going through and embedding the full chain down into the clay. I just think that looks so cool. All right, so then we have this piece right here, and we're going to let that set. The clay, in 2 hours time, that will already be hard enough for us to bend this down. Here are some pieces that I already finished that I actually even did them double-sided. So I had a texturizing pad on the base and on the back side, and made a little sandwich to press and create texture on both sides. But once these are hard, they're rock hard. And to bend these sides down, just bring it over to the side of the table and squish that closed. and then bring to the other side and just press it up against that edge and squish it closed. And then you have a really cool little pendant. In this sample here, I actually even put a hit of 2-part Nunn Design resin over the top of it to give it a really shiny, glossy look. But that is just a super fun way to create these little pendants using epoxy clay, the crystal clay, mica powders, and a ribbon end. This is Becky Nunn with Nunn Design. I hope you enjoyed learning how to do this technique.